Welcome to Dreamy Tales, your bedtime haven. Prepare to embark on a journey of tranquility and relaxation. I'm here to weave enchanting stories that will gently guide you into a restful night's sleep. Subscribe and let the soothing whispers of Dreamy Tales be your nightly companion. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice let out a sigh as her sister droned on about proper etiquette. The spring afternoon was too lovely to waste indoors. Sneaking away to the garden, she spotted a plump white rabbit in a waistcoat. It peered at a large watch, then panicked. I'm late, for a very important date." Curious, Alice tiptoed behind as it dashed to a nearby hedge. Pushing through, she glimpsed its pink feet disappearing down a rabbit-sized hole. Alice knelt, squeezing her golden hair through the branches to peer inside. How odd, she thought. I've never seen a rabbit with a pocket watch before. She cautiously leaned over the opening, glimpsing an earthen tube stretching endlessly into the earth's depths. Her imagination began to wander. What secrets might this burrow contain? As she wondered, her hand slipped on the damp soil. With a squeal, Alice tumbled head over heels into the hole's murky depths. Down, down, down she fell, past roots and stones, wondering when her tumble might end. After what seemed ages, Alice's flailing hand grasped a tiny shelf. She clung tight as her momentum slowed, then dropped the last few feet onto a smooth dirt floor. Brushing off her pale blue pinafore, Alice glanced around the shadowy space. Where am I? Torches flickered along rocky walls, lighting a long hallway ahead. Doors of every size lined its length, some mere inches tall. Alice crept forward and tried a doorknob, but it was locked fast. A scuttling sound drew her to a nearby door just her size. Peering through a brass keyhole, she glimpsed two beady eyes gazing back. Startled, Alice leapt back with a squeak. What strange place had she fallen into? This subterranean hall and its mysterious doors held untold secrets waiting to be discovered. Alice steeled her nerve and began her explorations, wondering what curious adventures lay ahead. Chapter 2. Curiouser and Curiouser. Down the long hallway, Alice wandered, trying doors at random. One shrank her so tiny the keyhole's grating trapped her arm. She tugged free with a whimper, rubbing her sore wrist. The next grew her into a giantess brushing the rocky ceiling. Despite the disorienting changes, she was thankful one let her regain her normal size. A sign nearby read, "Drink me." Curious what new surprises it might bring, Alice uncorked the bottle and sipped. At once her body started shrinking, dress billowing, as she became tinier still. Soon she was toddler-sized, scurrying over the floor's cracks and crevices. Coming upon a butterfly perched on glass, Alice gazed entranced by its colors. As it fluttered off, she noticed a strange cake whose label read, "Eat me." Starving after her adventure, Alice took a hearty bite. Instantly her body puffed up, dress straining at the seams. Panicked, she tried brushing crumbs off, but only continued growing taller and wider. After several more bites, in vain attempts to stop, Alice stood a towering 12 feet, head brushing the ceiling. Despite her enormous size, she began to whimper. Something about this bewildering place filled her with a creeping unease. Soon her feelings swelled into uncontrollable tears, as big as teacups. In her distress, Alice failed to notice how quickly the hallway filled. Within moments, she was ankle-deep in her own pity, then waist-deep and still crying harder. As the acidic water lapped her chin, Alice spied a squeaking white mouse, frantically treading water. "Please, miss, you'll drown us all," it cried in a tiny voice. Startled from her tears, Alice peered about and gasped, seeing the flooded hallway. Seizing control, she inhaled a steadying breath and let her sorrow slowly subside. The water receded along winding channels and openings between the walls. "Forgive me, little creature. This strange place has set me quite on edge," said Alice shakily. "Might you point me towards drier lands?" The mouse nodded and scampered ahead, leading through a rounded door into a sun-dappled garden. Alice sighed in relief. Safe once more, thanks to the patient guidance of this odd place's inhabitants. Though confused by Wonderland's curious ways, she felt ready to discover where its wonders might lead next. Chapter 3. A Mad Tea Party. Following the mouse through twisty paths, Alice emerged in a garden, clearing awash in a cacophony of noise and color. Mismatched chairs and tables were laid haphazard about, bearing half-empty teapots and overflowing plates of crumbs. Though apparently set for tea, their occupants could scarcely be called civilized company. A pink-eyed hare with frenzied air bounced on his chair, clapping paws over his ears at every opportunity. Across from him, a fellow with a perpetually grinning face, an outrageously oversized hat, tilted precariously, slurping from his teacup. Alice approached cautiously, but they paid her no mind, lost in their rambling exchange. "No time to say, 'Hello, goodbye. I'm late. I'm late,'" said the hare as he leapt about. "Your watch must be wrong again," cackled the other. "There's no sense going by your watch. It never tells the same time twice." As Alice listened bewildered, their conversation grew more nonsensical, wandering from prophecies of future month's events back to the Hatter's latest hat order. "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" he asked abruptly, to which the hare replied only, "Oh, bother," before launching into a song about a pig and a wig. Alice could bear it no more. "Pray tell, have any of you seen a white rabbit about? And might you explain the meaning of your words?" They paused, fixing her with mad gleams. "When is a door not a door?" giggled the Hatter. "I haven't the slightest idea," she replied, exasperated. "Then why did you ask?" he quipped, before descending into uproarious laughter, joined by the Hatter. Alice felt her irritation rise like steam. These odd folk were more preoccupied with riddles than reason, their words as nonsensical as their heads appeared. With a huff, she marched off through the garden, hoping some order might yet be found in this topsy-turvy realm. But amidst rose bushes, crawling with playing card soldiers, and a pig nursing unruly flamingo chicks, Wonderland only seemed to grow stranger. Alice moved on, longing for just one sensible answer to her many multiplying questions. Chapter 4. Off with Their Heads. Wandering from the Mad Tea Party, Alice happened upon a croquet game unlike any other. Players swung flamingos from mallets to swat hedgehog balls through rings of smoke suspended between thorns. Queen of Hearts herself stomped about, shouting nonsensical judgments and "off with their heads" at frequent intervals. Seeing Alice approach, the Queen shoved a wriggling mouse into her hands. "Here, girl, you shall join as my number one," she snapped. Alice gulped, but dared not defy the volatile monarch. With unsteady swings, She knocked the hog through its smoking hoop, wincing as it cursed and scampered off. As the match grew heated, a card challenged the queen's last shot, calling her a cheat. She shrieked with fury, grasping a flamingo to club him over the head. Suddenly the other players panicked, scattering in all directions, squeaking for their lives. Alice fled through an ivy arch into the peaceful wood beyond, heart pounding from her narrow escape. Leaning against a mossy tree to calm her nerves, she reflected on the strangeness of it all. Though none could explain this land's bizarre contradictions, all obeyed without question the queen's fickle whims. Was order merely a foreign concept, or were deeper dangers at play she could not perceive? A rustle in leaves snapped Alice from her ponderings. Crouching low, she spied 4 playing cards backing a hare into a thorn bush, laughing cruelly as he flailed. "Please, sirs, desist this torment, lest the queen's wrath find you instead," cried Alice bravely. The cards scowled and slunk off into the brush, leaving the hare panting in relief. "Thank you kindly, miss. Those ruffians know no mercy," he wheezed. Alice helped him brush off, learning this wood held deeper fears than flamingos alone. Resolving to avoid the volatile queen if possible, she bid the hare goodbye and continued into Wonderland's wandering ways, more questions on her mind than answers still. Chapter 5. Very important, very unimportant. Wandering the wood, Alice began to feel quite lost. All around, unfamiliar trees twisted into strange shapes, as if mocking the conventions of their world. She approached one bearing a pipe-smoking blue caterpillar perched amidst its leaves. "Pray, could you offer directions, sir?" she asked politely. He took a long puff, exhaling a perfect smoke ring. "Who are you?" he articulated slowly, fixing her with bulbous eyes. "I am Alice." "And you seem to have me at a disadvantage," she replied, unnerved by his inscrutable stare. The caterpillar blew another ring, watching it float through the air. "One side will make you small, the other will make you tall." He nodded towards a mushroom behind her, its cap splitting into 2 halves, bearing cryptic symbols. Noticing her confusion, he continued, "We are all mad here, you see." His riddles only deepened Alice's doubts, but she trusted this odd land held more mysteries to unfold, so with a steadying breath partook of the mushroom. Its effects rippled through her, head dizzyingly growing and shrinking her body in turn. Regaining herself, Alice emerged upon a sunny glade ringing with birdsong. In its center, a great tree's branches swayed, its bark etched with curious symbols and faces that seemed almost alive. As she leaned close to examine them, a feline chuckle sounded above. Looking up, revealed a wide grin floating disembodied, all that could be seen of its mysterious owner. "Why so serious, little Alice?" it purred. "We have not been properly introduced. I am the Cheshire Cat at your bemused service." She curtsied in reply, intrigued by this new acquaintance's bizarre ways. "What riddles might I solve to earn your wisdom, good sir?" The grin only grew broader. "Follow and see." With that, it vanished, leaving Alice chasing glimpses of its fading form deeper into Wonderland's wonder. Chapter 6. The Queen's Temper. Trailing the Cheshire Cat through sun-dappled glades, Alice glimpsed fleeting hints of its form ahead, yet never drew closer. At last it reappeared, perched in a willow, chuckling as she caught her breath beneath. Not far lies residence of a friend, with insights for your quest, it said, before fading once more. Alice followed the willow's bending branches to a ramshackle cottage poking from a hedge. Knocking brought a snarling response. The Duchess was busy with her flamingo feeding and feared the Queen's wrath. Inside, Alice blinked at the strange scene. A pig suckling alongside the feathered fowl at the bellowing woman's ample bosom. Before her eyes, the suckling babe morphed into a wriggling, suckling piglet. Alice stared aghast as the Duchess continued her bustling, commenting on this or that royal faux pas. At last, noticing her guest, she poured a pot of tea and began plying Alice with slices of bread and butter until the slight girl felt fit to burst. Revived, Alice attempted questions, but the Duchess could speak only of her woes. The cook played cards all afternoon, leaving no time for jam tarts. Just then, a clamor arose outside. It was the Mad Hatter, come to fix her leaky roof. "And about time, too," the woman bellowed, thrusting Alice out the door. The Hatter nodded distractedly as she stammered her plight, eyes fixed distant. "Pay no mind to dates or rules. They are for common folk," was his cryptic advice. "Your logic holds no power here. In this place, we dance to a tune beyond any music boxes can." With that tantalizing riddle, he disappeared back towards the Queen's domain, leaving Alice as puzzled as ever in Wonderland's winding ways. Resolving to face the source of tyranny direct, Alice turned her steps towards the royal gardens. Yet what mysteries might she find, and dangers too, lurking in the volatile Queen's realm? Chapter 7. Wake Up, Alice. As Alice walked the winding path to the palace gates, unease gripped her once more. What strangeness might lurk behind those towering hedges, and fury in the heart of the Queen who ruled it all? Steeling her nerve, she called in a shaky voice for entry and waited. With a grinding of gears, the greenery parted, revealing a topsy-turvy world within. Playing cards saluted as she passed, bearing weapons far too dangerous for their delicate forms. In a courtyard festooned with decapitated heads, the Queen Bellow stomped towards her throne, grasping an executioner's axe menacingly. "Who dares disturb my kingdom's peace?" she bellowed. A shuddering rabbit produced Alice from behind his back. "This little scoundrel, your majesty." The Queen's eyes narrowed to slits as she studied the intruder. "Off with her head." But just then, a smooth voice interjected. "If I may, your terribleness, the laws of the land demand a fair trial." The Cheshire Cat's grin hovered where it pleased as mock proceedings commenced. Alice sat stunned, not daring to refute the bizarre charges leveled against her. When all seemed lost, a witness took the stand, the sympathetic mock turtle, who recounted her courage facing flamingo and card alike. The jury erupted as one growled, "Guilty!" But the cat purred, "If I may again, you seem to have forgotten. No, wait, where was I going with this?" In the ensuing confusion, Alice spotted her chance, slipping from the packed crowds into a dark corridor. As she ran frantic for an exit, the world crumbled like a dream into inky shadows. Alice woke with a start in her garden, sunlight dappling the familiar hedges and flowers once more. Had it all been just a figment conjured by her active imagination? Try as she might, logic offered no answers to the enigma of her plunge down the rabbit hole. Yet somewhere deep within, a spark of wonder still flickered at the mysteries yet to be explored in the lands of dreaming. With a sigh and small smile, Alice gathered her wits to rejoin the sensible routines of her everyday life. But wherever paths might lead in future journeys, for now she was content once more home, where things made proper logical sense. The end. As the stars twinkle above, it's time for dreamy tales to bid you good night. May the soothing echoes of our stories linger in your dreams, offering you a serene escape. Until we meet again under the moonlit sky, sleep tight and sweet dreams.